Imagine the sheer terror when the moon violently blocks you from every single human being alive. Your radio dies. It is not just a glitch. It is a chilling, dead silence, as if the entire universe just shuts you out. No static. No buzzing. Just a crushing, suffocating void that you can actually feel in your bones. For the brave Artemis II crew, this nightmare is not a theory. It is locked in. It is literally on the schedule. And when that dark moment hits, Houston Mission Control will be completely powerless to save them. Not for lack of trying, but because the brutal laws of physics absolutely forbid it. This is not just another warning about space disasters. This is the shocking truth about the one invisible killer that makes survival nearly impossible, the absolute silence. Discover why the most insanely advanced spacecraft ever built cannot outrun it, cannot fight it, and cannot hack it. Welcome to the terrifying Orion survival trap, and it all begins with the speed of light. Light blasts at a mind-blowing 186,282 miles per second. On Earth, that is a superpower. In the dark abyss of deep space, it is a deadly curse. When the Orion capsule orbits close to Earth, the communication lag with Houston is basically zero. A tiny fraction of a second. Totally invisible. Astronauts on the International Space Station chat with the ground like they are sitting on your couch. The safety net is flawless. The lifeline is perfectly secure. But the second they blast out of low orbit, the nightmare begins. Out near the moon, a staggering 239,000 miles away, a desperate signal rocketing at light speed takes a full 1.3 seconds just to hit Earth. One way. That is 1.3 seconds out and 1.3 seconds back. A grueling 2.6 second delay for every frantic plea, every single warning, and every desperate cry for help. 2.5 seconds might sound like nothing. For boring, everyday check-ins, it is totally fine. But massive, life-threatening emergencies do not make appointments. A catastrophic disaster will not wait 2.6 seconds before it completely destroys the ship. There is a terrifying invisible barrier that panicked engineers whisper about, the lag wall. Below this wall, instant teamwork between the crew and Earth actually works. Houston spots a deadly glitch, the alarms scream, the crew reacts, and ground control locks it down. The loop snaps shut in seconds, killing the danger before it explodes into a tragedy. But cross that lag wall and the lifeline shatters. Mission Control instantly transforms from heroic saviors into helpless, terrified spectators. Sure, they can beam up advice. They can frantically crunch the incoming data. But by the time their desperate warnings finally reach the crew and the crew response crawls back, the deadly crisis has already ended, either in miraculous survival or absolute catastrophe, completely without them. Artemis II will violently launch Orion roughly 4,600 miles past the dark side of the moon, slinging it to a mind-bending peak of 252,757 miles away from Earth. That is further into the terrifying unknown than any human being has ever dared to go. The legendary Apollo 13 slammed right into this lag wall during their explosive crisis. Their oxygen tank blew up 205,000 miles from home. The round-trip delay was an agonizing 2.3 seconds. Earth engineers fought like absolute maniacs and miraculously saved those men. But the astronauts were fighting for their lives in real time, making split-second choices faster than Houston could comprehend. That deadly gap was already haunting them, even on that short trip. And for a massive mission to Mars, that lag wall becomes an uncrossable canyon of doom. At average Mars distance, the horrifying communication delay is 20 agonizing minutes each way. That is a 40-minute round trip of pure helpless silence. Imagine a deadly disaster striking the Martian surface. A desperate distress signal is fired off, but by the time Houston finally receives it, processes the panic, and shoots back a response, a grueling 40 minutes have vanished. The astronauts have either miraculously survived or they are already dead. Earth's desperate reply arrives either way. Artemis is the ultimate bridge between our safe world and that terrifying future reality. But bridges, by their very nature, must span a dangerous void. This dark gap is measured in light seconds, and the abyss is only growing wider. There is a chilling dead zone hidden behind the moon where absolutely nothing works. It is not a system glitch. It is not solar interference. It is the massive moon itself blocking everything. Picture over 2,000 miles of dead, ancient rock violently severing the spacecraft from every single radio telescope, relay satellite, and lifeline on Earth. Radio waves cannot magically bend around massive planets. They shoot in brutal straight lines at the speed of light. If a solid world blocks their path, they instantly die. The moon slams a massive, impenetrable wall between Orion and Earth that zero modern technology can break through. For 40 agonizing minutes during Artemis II's closest, most dangerous lunar approach, the crew will plunge into a terrifying total communication blackout. No comforting voice from Houston. No vital telemetry streams. Absolutely zero data getting in or out. The ship's computers might keep humming. Life support might keep pumping. The crew might still be breathing. But from Mission Control's panic perspective, Orion will literally vanish into the void. Telemetry will freeze dead on their screens, and the entire room will hold its breath. The legendary Apollo crews faced this exact haunting silence. Every single mission to the moon was swallowed by it. When Michael Collins orbited completely alone during Apollo 11, while Armstrong and Aldrin braved the surface, he endured 48 agonizing minutes per orbit entirely cut off from humanity. He later confessed a chilling realization: he was the single most isolated human being in the entire history of our species. Infinitely more alone than a stranded castaway. Worse than any prisoner locked in solitary confinement. He was abandoned on a truly terrifying cosmic scale. But those Apollo missions were only measured in days. Their blackout was just a fleeting passage, a terrifying but brief nightmare with a guaranteed end. The spacecraft would burst back onto the near side, signals would instantly reconnect, and the historic mission would march on. Now, look at the Lunar Gateway. This massive planned space station orbiting the moon is supposed to be our ultimate communication relay. But here is the shocking truth: near constant connection is absolutely not the same as constant. There are deadly orbital blind spots where the relay fails. Massive coverage gaps exist. And down on the brutal lunar surface, deep inside permanently shadowed polar craters, astronauts will face terrifying blackout windows stretching from agonizing minutes into deadly hours. The futuristic satellite network that could theoretically save them. It doesn't even exist yet. Right now, today, if a catastrophic disaster strikes in the shadow zone, an explosive pressure drop, a raging fire, a fatal medical emergency, the crew is completely unreachable. Not just a bad signal, they are irretrievably, hopelessly cut off. That is 40 brutal minutes where Mission Control is totally blind, totally helpless, with zero way to know if the crew is surviving or actively dying, until that signal finally ghosts back on the other side of the moon. This terrifying shadow zone never moves. It won't magically shrink with better tech. It is the inescapable, deadly consequence of flying behind a massive body of rock that ruthlessly annihilates every single electromagnetic signal in its path. The only escape is a signal relay on the far side, and right now that lifeline simply does not exist. Any crew plunging into this terrifying shadow zone must face a chilling reality. For agonizing minutes, they are completely cut off. They become the absolute last line of defense, the final pair of hands controlling their own survival. For 60 long years, human spaceflight has secretly relied on one unspoken, life-saving rule. Someone down on Earth is always watching. Mission Control isn't just a helpful voice in the dark. It is the ultimate bulletproof safety net. Every single astronaut launched into the void has an entire army of brilliant engineers practically breathing down their necks in real time. The second a terrifying glitch flashes on a screen, the crew shouts it out. That exact data instantly hits Houston. Elite specialists scramble to crack the code. And in mere seconds, often before the crew even realizes the danger, a life-saving fix is beamed right back. The connection is flawless. The safety net is absolute. The razor-thin line between a minor glitch and absolute catastrophe is guarded by Earth's greatest minds. That exact system miraculously saved Apollo 13. It rescued Columbia's crew during STS-1 when shocking tile damage was spotted on launch. It has quietly saved countless lives in the dark void, fixing deadly threats before they ever make the evening news. But deep space completely shatters that system. Not in one dramatic flash, but in a slow, agonizing fade. As the vast distance explodes and the signal lag piles up, Mission Control morphs from a real-time savior into nothing more than a distant, helpless spectator. They can scream the perfect advice, but there is zero guarantee it reaches the ship before disaster has already struck. The Orion spacecraft was custom-built for this terrifying future. It packs 4 hyper-advanced flight computers running in perfect parallel. In theory, this beast can fly completely on its own. It shocked the world during Artemis 1 in 2022 when the empty ship flawlessly executed a massive lunar mission from explosive launch to fiery splashdown without a single human hand ever touching the wheel. But here is the chilling truth. Software is blind to the unknown. The horrific failures that have actually killed astronauts were almost always hiding in plain sight, trapped outside the decision loop at the exact moment of life and death. Challenger's doomed O-ring was documented before it ever left the pad. Columbia's fatal foam strike was caught dead on camera. Apollo 13's explosive oxygen tank showed bizarre warnings during tests. In every single tragedy, the warning signs were screaming at us. The ultimate question is always, will anyone spot the deadly truth before time runs out? Orion's cutting-edge AI can instantly spot bizarre sensor glitches and trigger emergency protocols. It can seamlessly reroute power and fire off explosive abort sequences. But what it absolutely cannot do is think. It cannot stare down a freak scenario missing from its code, realize the models are dead wrong, and invent a wild, off-script miracle to save the day. But a human crew can. And that is exactly why Artemis 2 is pushing the absolute limits, forcing astronauts to manually hijack the ship in deep space. They are physically wresting control from the AI, testing extreme flight modes, and proving once and for all what happens when a living, breathing human takes the wheel instead of a cold, calculating machine. The Artemis 2 crew is facing a terrifying reality that Apollo astronauts never even imagined. They are being forced to master something completely unprecedented, flying their massive spacecraft totally alone, cut off from real-time ground support, surviving nightmare scenarios that nobody ever planned for. Sure, the legendary Apollo astronauts were incredible test pilots, but they only took manual control during perfectly planned moments, like docking, descending, or landing on the lunar surface. Their command module was never built to be flown by hand through the deadly void of open space during a crisis. Back then, mission control was the ultimate safety net. The ground was their only backup system. But this shocking new mission assumes the unthinkable. Earth might go completely silent. It forces the crew to become their own mission control. Experts are calling this the terrifying autonomy trap. It is not that the cutting-edge tech has failed, it hasn't. In fact, it has advanced so mind-blowingly fast that it can keep 4 humans alive 250,000 miles away, trapped inside a capsule the size of a tiny closet. It beams jaw-dropping high-resolution video back home using lasers at speeds that would have sounded like pure sci-fi in 1972. But here is the chilling trap. The exact same extreme distance that makes survival possible is also the exact point where the greatest safety net in spaceflight history, hundreds of brilliant minds sitting in a room in Houston, goes totally dark. The spacecraft is more powerful than ever before, but the distance is more extreme than ever before. And that terrifying gap between those two facts is exactly where this crew is forced to survive. There is a mind-bending phenomenon that hits astronauts just hours into orbit. They float over to the window, stare down at our planet, and something inside their brain permanently snaps. It is called the overview effect. Documented by writer Frank White after interviewing dozens of space explorers over decades, it is one of the most shocking and consistently reported psychological shifts in human history. The sheer overwhelming scale. The terrifying fragility of our atmosphere, just a paper-thin blue glowing arc against the absolute dead black of space. The sudden realization that invisible borders, brutal wars, every towering building, buried city, and human triumph all exist solely on the curved surface of that tiny, pale sphere. But now, imagine the exact horrifying opposite happening. Imagine watching that safe little sphere rapidly shrink away into nothingness. The Earth doesn't just vanish in an instant. It agonizingly fades away, hour after hour, as the massive rocket blasts them deeper into the abyss. At 10,000 miles, you can block out your entire home world with just your thumb. At 100,000 miles, it is nothing but a bright blue marble, looking even smaller than the full moon does from your backyard. At 250,000 miles, it is just a pathetic point of light. You might recognize it if you squint, but that extreme distance is felt deep in your bones, not just in your mind. And when they slip behind the moon, Earth disappears completely. To survive this, the Artemis II crew is being watched more obsessively than any humans in history. Wearables track their every sleep cycle. Their heartbeats are logged every single second. Intense cognitive tests are forced on them constantly, while brutal radiation levels are recorded all over their tiny floating prison. Every single terrifying data point is hoarded in real time, ready to be dissected for months after they finally splash down. But what the secret research already reveals is absolutely chilling. Extreme isolation, even when you know you are being watched, silently destroys human performance in ways the victims cannot even feel. Brain processing violently slows down. Dangerous, risk-taking skyrockets as their minds are pushed to the absolute breaking point by relentless, suffocating stress. Trapped in a tiny metal box, human tension explodes. By week 2 or 3, the psychological pressure of tight confinement becomes unbearable. Sleeping in space is a total nightmare. Even with heavy sleep meds, astronauts suffer brutally. Bizarre lighting, creepy mechanical noises, and a shattered biological clock push the human body to its absolute breaking point. But the real silent killer? Deep space radiation. Once Orion violently punches through the Van Allen belts, Earth's protective shield is gone. The crew gets blasted by terrifying galactic cosmic rays and lethal solar storms. Down on Earth, these extreme radiation levels would be flagged as a massive, unacceptable hazard. Apollo astronauts reported seeing blinding flashes of light with their eyes completely shut. Why? Because invisible cosmic rays were shooting straight through their eyeballs, violently triggering their retinas. And the most terrifying part? Those exact same high-energy particles were blasting right through the gray matter of their brains. What does this deep space radiation actually do to the human mind? It is one of the most chilling, heavily researched, yet deeply misunderstood mysteries in space medicine today. Shocking animal tests reveal that cosmic rays literally destroy brain cell growth. They severely cripple decision-making skills and trigger intense, overwhelming anxiety. Yet actual human data from deep space, it's practically non-existent. The legendary Apollo missions gave us a tiny glimpse, but nowhere near enough to prove anything. Nowhere near enough to know the dark truth. Now, the Artemis II mission is about to change everything. Right this second, as the brave crew works, sleeps, and watches our fragile Earth shrink into the black void, their very biology is being tracked with a mind-blowing precision that Apollo could only dream of. The shocking data from this flight will dictate the ultimate survival rules for every future deep space mission. It decides who goes, how long they stay, and how they survive the first epic voyage to Mars, a brutal journey bombarding astronauts with 18 agonizing months of pure cosmic radiation. The devastating toll of deep space isolation isn't just in the mind, it destroys the body. It builds up silently, striking without a single warning light or blaring alarm. It creeps in like a shadow between tasks. You see it in a dangerously slow decision, in a restless sleep that leaves you drained. It's a constant, agonizing hum of stress that never stops, because the crushing distance, the deafening silence, and the terrifying absence of Earth never, ever go away. This is the ultimate terrifying challenge of deep space. It's not the deadly vacuum outside the hull. It's not the scorching re-entry plasma or the complex rocket math. The real fight is keeping the fragile human inside the capsule sane, sharp, and unbroken. They are trapped in an alien environment with absolutely zero evolutionary history, zero preparation, and absolutely no way to ever make it feel like home. Flashback to December 1972, Gene Cernan stood on the desolate lunar surface for the very last time. Before sealing the lunar module hatch, he spoke those haunting words, "We leave as we came, and God willing, as we shall return." It took a staggering 53 years to go back. And it wasn't because our technology failed. It wasn't because the missions ended in disaster. It was because the political drive died, massive budgets vanished, and the distracted public simply moved on to the next shiny thing. Apollo proved its spectacular point. The world watched in awe. But then the legendary program abruptly died. 12 brave men had walked on an alien world, yet we were left completely blind, with zero plan for the future. But make no mistake, the epic Artemis program is no quick sprint. It's the ultimate fight for our future in the stars. This is no ordinary space race. It is a colossal, mind-bending global megaproject, heavily weighed down by the intense coordination of space agencies from Europe, Canada, Japan, and beyond. We are talking about a massive space station locked in lunar orbit, a shocking series of high-stakes surface missions, and an ultimate, grueling path to Mars that will take decades of relentless obsession to pull off. But behind closed doors, panic is brewing. Engineers inside NASA and partner agencies are sounding the alarm, warning that the communication network for Artemis lunar missions is dangerously flawed. Sending humans into pitch-black environments where total communication blackout is possible, into a deadly shadow zone with zero backup relay, is a catastrophic risk. It is a terrifying gamble that bureaucrats are sweeping under the rug. Yet other brilliant minds fiercely defend this plunge. They argue the crew's autonomous skills are a massive shield against disaster. They claim the history of exploration is built on facing terrifying unknowns head-on, instead of waiting for a perfection that never arrives. Both sides of this explosive debate make absolute sense. Both are armed with hard evidence and championed by experts who deeply understand the threat. This isn't a petty fight between the wise and the reckless. It is a high-stakes clash between geniuses who look at the exact same data and draw the line of acceptable risk in totally different places. When Artemis I smashed back to Earth in 2022, engineers uncovered something deeply disturbing. The vital heat shield was shockingly eroded. Chunks of the protective armor had charred and flaked off in bizarre patterns that completely shattered their thermal models. The core structure miraculously survived, but this terrifying anomaly forced an emergency independent review. Panicked engineers begged for a massive heat shield redesign before strapping humans on top of it. But NASA leadership looked at the chilling data and made a shocking call. Artemis II is a go with the exact same design, pushing the crucial redesign to Artemis III. The brave crew knows this dark secret, and they accepted the terrifying risk. Every astronaut who has ever flown has made this exact same deadly deal. It is the chilling realization that the engineering is flawed, the safety margins are frighteningly thin, and true exploration demands the sheer guts to launch anyway. Because staying on the ground has consequences, and waiting forever is its own kind of ultimate failure. What was once a desperate last resort, the exact same miracle trajectory that saved the doomed Apollo 13 crew from total disaster, is now the primary flight plan for Artemis II. What used to be a nightmare emergency is now the actual architecture. That one mind-blowing fact reveals absolutely everything you need to know about the terrifying reality of Artemis. When the Artemis II crew violently splashes down in the Pacific Ocean, the tension will be unbearable. Massive recovery vessels will swarm the zone. Explosive airbags will blast open to flip the scorched capsule if it crashes upside down. Elite divers will rush the popping spacecraft, rip open the hatch, and drag 4 exhausted humans into the blazing sunlight. These heroes will have achieved the impossible, returning alive from deep space, something no human has done since December 1972. The intense debriefings will kick off in mere hours. It will take agonizing months to decode the data. Then, engineers, flight surgeons, and mission planners will analyze every terrifying detail, every glitch, and every hidden danger those four souls endured to answer one terrifying question: is the next step actually safe enough to take? Because in the unforgiving vacuum of space, that is exactly how true exploration is forged. We didn't conquer the cosmos overnight. It's a chilling chain of mysteries, solved only by plunging in. Every shocking discovery drags humanity deeper into the terrifying unknown. The brutal void takes no prisoners. It lurks 250,000 miles from home, radiating a deafening, absolute silence that no earthly machine could ever hope to break. Four souls just faced that nightmare. Plunging into the moon's dark side, they lost every signal, every human voice, trapped in 40 minutes of dead, terrifying silence. And somehow they survived. Not for safety, but because our survival demands it. Apollo proved we could escape. Artemis is exposing the devastating price of staying out there. Imagine the claustrophobic terror inside that tiny capsule. Choking down vacuum-sealed rations, fighting for sleep in zero gravity, and staring into a mind-bending, endless abyss. These are the gut-wrenching, unscripted moments no official briefing could ever prepare a human for. The Artemis II journey is the ultimate, terrifying test of our endurance.